This is Brenda with Keenan Kreations, and today I'm going to show you how to make a quick and easy Christmas card using the new Joyful Season stamp set. To get started, we're going to use old olive cardstock, and this is your standard 8.5 by 5.5 and scored down the middle at 4 1/4. I'm going to go ahead and fold it and just make sure that my edges are nice and neat. We're going to emboss the front of the card with the Woodland embossing folder and the Big Shot. We're going to use the Big Shot, and we're going to use the multi-purpose platform on tab 1. You're going to have a cutting pad on the bottom. So you're going to place the front of your card right inside the embossing folder. So I've lined up the scored edge right to the edge of that embossed image, and I've made sure that my trees are nice and straight. You're going to place this on top of that first cutting pad. You're going to place the other cutting pad on top and just kind of scoot that in. You're going to make sure all your edges are nice and lined up. If this embossing folder pokes out a little bit, it's going to get chewed up as it goes through the Big Shot, so make sure that you're lined up. And then you're just going to turn the handle and crank that through. And you'll notice I've left the card open. You don't want to fold this under or it'll add extra thickness. So just go all the way through. And then when you open up the folder, you can see that the front of your card is nicely embossed. Now I like to have the trees raised, but you can see if I turn it over and the trees are recessed, it's still pretty. We'll set this aside for now. We're going to be working with Whisper White cardstock, and this measures 4.5 by 3 1/4. We're going to be using the Joyful Season stamp set, which is a 2-step stamping set. All that means is 2 stamps will work together to create one image. Usually you'll have an outline image in the darker color and a solid image in a lighter color. We're going to stamp the outline image first using Memento black ink. And you're just going to walk the stamp across the ink pad. And I know on this card I want this side of the branch off the paper, and I want this part as close to the bottom of the cardstock as I can get it. So just kind of angle that a little bit. And you're going to press firmly to get a nice detailed image. I'm going to stamp the outline image for the bird, and you're just going to tap that across your ink pad. So just take your time and get his feet on the branch, and then press it down. And take your time with these detailed images just to make sure you have a nice, cleanly stamped image. We're going to use Old Olive, and we're going to stamp the solid image for the branch directly on top of this outline image. And you want to just lightly tap this on your ink pad. If you press too hard, what will happen is you'll get a lot of excess ink in between the branches, and the photopolymer are not as raised as deeply as the red rubber stamps. So you want to make sure that you just get the ink on the branch part, and you can do that just by setting it down and lifting that up. It's just a very light tapping. What I do is I line up this part of the image first. Then if this one is off, it's easier just to move that little part up and down. So just take your time and get that lined up, and then when it looks good, you're just going to go straight down and then lift up. Next is Cherry Cobbler, and we're going to stamp the bird. And I wanted to show you, I also will trim some of my stamps very close to the image because it's easier for me to line it up later. But I wanted to show you on these smaller images where you still need a larger block, it's really easy to get that excess ink on the block. And you just want to make sure that you clean that up, because it's very easy to transfer that excess ink to your cardstock, and then you're going to have to start all over. So again, you're just going to set it down and lift it up, just a very light tapping. And he's pretty easy to line up, but you still want to take your time and get him in the right spot. and then go straight down. Now at class, a lot of people wanted him a little darker than the first inking. So this is the first time. And so if you want, you can go back over again without re-inking and just line him up and just release some more of that ink. So I like him shaded just like this, but if you want him a little bit darker, just go back to your ink pad and repeat those steps. Now these little berries, to me, were the hardest things to stamp. And you can see from this stamp right here, it's so easy to get that excess ink on this photopolymer, and the photopolymer will stain, especially if it has any kind of red in it. So your purples, browns, reds, and oranges are going to stain your photopolymer. The easiest way to ink this up, again, is to just set the block on the ink pad and just lift it up. I'm not even pressing it down. Just do that a couple of times, and then you'll see that it'll give you enough ink to stamp your image. Now this one I do have to stand up for and kind of just take your time. You're going to be moving it around until you get these little berries lined up, and it's a little bit kind of fussy, but just stay with it and then just press that down like normal. Don't press so hard that if you had any of that excess ink that would transfer. So just give it a nice normal pressing. I do love the greetings in photopolymer because you can see exactly where you're stamping. So just line that up. Now the last piece is pumpkin pie, and it's for his little beak right there. And there is a stamp for that. It's teeny tiny, so make sure that you don't lose that if you're a messy stamper. I don't always put my stamps away when I'm done, so make sure with these small photopolymer pieces that you put them up as soon as you're done. Now this is going to get layered to cherry cobbler cardstock, and this is cut just slightly larger. This is 4 5/8 at 3 3/8, and you're going to add adhesive around all the edges. And it's easy to line up these layers if you just kind of lift this up and you're lining up 3 out of the 4 edges first, and then you're just going to lightly set that down and double check it and then press. We're going to add dimensionals to the back, and we're just going to layer this right to the front. Make sure you're nice and even. Now I've stamped an envelope and the inside of the card as well. I hope you enjoyed today's project. For more ideas, you can visit me at KeenanCreations.com. Thanks and have a great day.